Why would he say his troops got scared? When did Alexander live? You're talking about 300 and some BC. It easily fits the Bible timeline. No problem, right? Where's 326 BC on the evolutionist timeline? It's not over here. It's all the way over there. You see, the evidence doesn't fit the evolutionist timeline. It fits the Bible timeline. This Roman mosaic, that's a long neck, isn't it? 2nd century AD? Whoa, what's that doing there? It fits the Bible timeline. It doesn't fit the evolutionary timeline. What about St. George slaying a dragon, 275? Or what about the 900 AD, iron nails on its tail? And there's some websites you can go to. Okay? What about the Vikings? What did they put on the front of those ships? A short-necked creature? No, long-necked creatures, folks. And they call it unexplained mystery. Unexplained to who? To an evolutionist. Okay? It doesn't fit their timeline, so they ignore the data. Folks, that's not what science does. Science never ignores data. Never. We question our theories and our hypotheses. If the data doesn't fit our theory, we go, must be something wrong with our theory. But that's not what evolutionists do. Evolutionists are not scientists. Never have been. And I'll prove that to you later by the 4th lesson. What about Marco Polo? He's considered the person who knew most about China's history during his years. No one else knew this much about China. He turned around in 1271 that the emperor was still raising dragons to pull his chariots in the parades. Even as late as 1600s, there's a royal post for feeding dragons. They used to like to kill the dragons and use them for some of their medicines and things of that nature. What? You mean there's all kinds of evidence out there that from history and from legends, the dinosaurs and man lived at the same time? Yeah, Bible. Then we got other evidences. Remember Alexander the Great? Roman mosaic? Remember Marco Polo? What can we say about that conclusion? It takes that rope right there and it breaks it, right? Therefore, we know 65 million years is a lie, and man saw live dinosaurs. Let's shift to another area. Cave drawings. Indian cave drawings. Raise your hand if you've ever been to Grand Canyon. I got a few of you there. Okay. Grand Canyon. Where's it located at? Let's go take a trip. The Grand Canyon has a bunch of side canyons that feed into the main canyon. And one of the side canyons is called the Supai Canyon. Right there it is. We're going to tilt it down and give you a little bit better view of it. Okay, right back here is the Grand Canyon running down this way. You got the Supai Canyon. Let's zoom in a little closer. Supai Canyon, let's go into one of the caves. Well, what happened was an evolutionist, he had a hunch that American Indians had been on this American continent for hundreds of years before anybody else thought they were. So he got a grant. He went over to Supai Canyon looking for artifacts from the Indians. And he found them, all kinds of things left that they cooked with and things of that nature. But as they went over to some of these cave walls, they had some dust on the cave walls. As they knocked the dust off, it exposed some drawings that were sitting on the cave walls. Drawings of man and other animals that they know existed at that time. Let me show you. There's some of the drawings right there. I'll point to the one that you might find interesting right there. Let's zoom in on that one. That doesn't look like a giraffe, does it? That doesn't look like a horse, does it? Now, this is an evolutionist that he found this. And even he turned around and said, you know, that's a pretty good representation of a dinosaur that we know about called Edmontosaurus. And he turned around and said he is raised with using his hind legs, balancing on his tail, as if he's fighting against a group of men or reaching for higher foliage. That's what the evolutionists said, folks. Now let's travel from the Grand Canyon. Let's go down to Ica, Peru, on South America. Down in Ica, Peru, one of the drier climates, things kind of last longer in a drier climate. We come into their area right there, and back in 1571, that's a long time ago. Long time before this dinosaur argument that people are trying to make today that man never saw a live dinosaur. These Spanish conquistadors talked about these stones, and they saw these strange creatures. Every known dinosaur we've ever discovered were already drawn on those stones. We started digging them up in the early 1900s, finding them. They're called the Nazca burial stones. So here you got a burial ground. I guess there's a skull left right there. Okay, right here's one of the burial stones. Let's go look. These have been collected, thousands of them, and about a third of them depict dinosaurs. Dinosaurs? You mean there's evidence out there that dinosaurs and man lived at the same time? Oh, no problem. Even got the patterns on their skin correctly. There's some pottery with dinosaurs on it. They even had humans with dinosaurs on the stones. Now, what did the evolutionists do with this data? Oh, no, 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 those stones are all fakes. Do sometimes people make fake things and sell to tourists? Yeah, they do that, right? Does that mean everything is fake? No. Did you know these stones, starting being collected in the early 1900s, these stones contained fins on the back of sauropod dinosaurs called dorsal fins. A dorsal type fin on the back of a dinosaur? What are they doing there? Evolutionists said, ha, you see, that's how we know they're fake, because sauropod dinosaurs didn't have any dorsal fins or dermal frills, okay? How do they say that? Well, generally, the only thing that survives in a fossil record is the bones. And these aren't bone. There's no bony material under those dorsal fins, so they generally don't survive. But sometimes we find skin impression of dinosaurs and other animals, and guess what? In 1992, they found out they were wrong, the stones were right. You mean the stones actually got it right before we even knew that there were such things as dermal fins on a dinosaur, sauropod type? Yeah. First discovered in 1992, the stones had it right long before that. Therefore, we know that stones were right. They're not a lie. They're not a fake. Okay? You know, like a shark's fin? See his little shark's fin? That's what he had on his back. All kinds. 15,000 of these stones. About a third of them depict dinosaurs. Now, Dr. Brad Harrop, I hope you get to hear him one day. He's the best we got in the Brotherhood on creation versus evolution. He actually has been giving a couple of these stones from Ica, Peru. And guess what? Some of the stones show a skin pattern, a bumpy Rosetta pattern on the skin. And once again, we didn't find out that that was correct until well into the 1900s. How did they know to get it correctly when we in the science field had it incorrect for so long? Because they actually saw them. This guy spent months down there looking at it. We got pottery with dinosaurs on it. Or go over to Cambodia. This was uncovered just a few years ago, I think 2 years ago, okay? And they turned around and found what? That looks like a Stegosaurus type dinosaur. That's run off to Acambaro, Mexico. Now in Acambaro, Mexico, they found these ceramic figurines. And again, 30-some thousand ceramic figurines, and about a third of them depicted giraffes. No, depicted dinosaurs, okay? Now, did they just find a couple of them? Oh, do any of these look like something that lives today? No, folks. There's plenty of evidences that man made these ceramic figurines because he'd seen a live dinosaur. Take this one, for example. They took pieces from some of the ceramic figurine dinosaurs and they sent it off to the evolutionary laboratories to do carbon-14 dating. Raise your hand if you ever heard of carbon-14. Boy, that's pathetic. You shouldn't have heard about that yet, okay? Well, I've seen it show up in 8th grade English books before. I go, what are you doing in 8th grade English teaching carbon-14? By the way, carbon-14 is our friend, by the way. It proves the Earth is less than 10,000 years of age. You have to ask me on the side on that one. I don't have time for the 30 minutes of explanation on that. They sent pieces of these ceramic figurines off to these carbon-14 dating laboratories, sent them off to 2 of them, University of Pennsylvania and Teledyne Isotope Laboratories. And they got dates back to about 2,000 years BC. 2,000 years BC, there were dinosaur figurines made by human beings? Oh, I forgot to tell you the secret. They didn't tell the laboratories that what they sent them, these little pieces, were from dinosaur figurines. So laboratory data, fine. Later, they told both laboratories, oh, by the way, you know those dates you gave us on those ceramic pieces? They're from dinosaur figurines. You know what both labs did immediately? Backtrack. Nope, those dates aren't any good. Can't believe them, nope, sorry. It must have been something wrong with our equipment. No, they can't possibly, they wouldn't stand behind the date. Why? Because they're evolutionists. They're not scientists. Oh, don't get me wrong. There's some bright people who are evolutionists. One of the most creative geniuses I've ever met in my life believes in evolution. He's a genius, but when it comes to evolution, it's not science. Never has been. Because you don't take away the data and say, oh, no, the dates aren't any good. No, folks. See, NBC did a whole special. I got the videotape. They tried to discredit these ceramic figurines. Oh, no, they're just a bunch of made-up fakes. Well, guess what? Back in the 1800s when we found the first bones of the iguanodon, that's the way science recreated the iguanodon. Now take a real good look at this one now, because I'm going to show you the picture. They said, oops, we were wrong. It didn't look like this. by the late 1800s, said, no, we were wrong. This is what it really looked like. That's a big difference, isn't it? Now notice the tail. He's bent back, his tail is all bent, right? Now they turn around and say, oops, sorry, we were wrong even in the late 1800s. This is a whole lot more accurate. The tail had to be sticking straight out. If he'd have bent, he'd have broken all the vertebrae back there. Couldn't possibly lean back on his tail like we had him previously. That was false. We were wrong. This is right. Well, then how come they got it right 2,000 years before Christ? Because they saw a live dinosaur, folks. No big deal. Burial cloths, long-necked, long-tailed creatures. All kinds of pottery, 700 BC, 3300 BC. I wouldn't take their date, but that's what they claim for the date, okay?